Hello, I'm drinking Treehouse's Normand. This is their barrel aged Belgian quadruple from 2022. I don't know if you can see that tiny, tiny writing, if it'll ever get in focus. Um, they said that this will age gracefully up to 12 years. This has been in the bottle for over a year and a half. I haven't tried it yet. Thought now would be the time. Maybe I waited too long, at least for my tastes. I can smell a little bit of oxidation in there. And I already opened it because this is some intense, excuse me, wax. And struggling to open wax on camera is not great YouTube. So they don't put the ABV on here. On Untapped it says 10%, which is about average for a Belgian quad. So it's not full of a bunch of chunks, at least the pour didn't look like it. Carbonation is not super crazy. Some Belgian beers can be pretty carbonated, but quads, they're big and strong. They tend to not be as carbonated as like a triple maybe. Most people were saying this one's a little bit sweeter and more full-bodied. A lot of the Belgian Abbey beers, like doubles, triples, quads, are like very carbonated and almost a little lower in pH. Not sour, but just like a little more acidic than your average stout or barley wine. So they might seem a little thinner. Bubbles look pretty cool in this one. And it poured, like I could see through it when I poured it, but I can't really see through it when I hold it up to the light. Whew. I get the booze and I got the fruit. Deep fig Newton raisin brandy. So they say, I think they use bourbon barrels. It doesn't even say. Interesting. They say bourbon candy, so probably is the hint that they use bourbon barrels for this. Yeah, it's got that bourbon like twang that I like. Sometimes it makes me think of like, kind of vomity, but then also coconut and caramel, vanilla. The oxidation in here, I smelled it mostly from the bottle. Maybe just like, what was building up in the neck was oxidized aroma. This is still pretty cold, so I should definitely warm it up. My head's developing. Yeah, it's a lot of dark fruit, and it's like not as berry dark fruit dominated. It's there's a lot of like maple, brown sugar, caramel stuff going on. But definitely Belgian yeast esters. But it's not a really traditional take on a Belgian quad. But actually, I'm not really even an expert on those anymore. I haven't had them in a while. Wow. Very unique beer. I have one really picky Untapped friend who said this is way over oaked and too oaky. Maybe it was when it was just bottled, but it's just a really unique beer. Haven't had anything like this ever. I don't know. It's good. It's drinkable. It's not too boozy. I bet it's over 10%. It's sweet, but then the finish is like surprisingly mellow, and there's lots of toasty oak there, but not too much. Well, I'll take another sip, I guess. Yeah, the flavor doesn't have as much oxidation as the smell. Yeah, I wonder why they say this would gracefully age for 12 years. Like, there's no Brettanomyces. Like, it depends on how you define graceful aging, because this is going to get really oxidized. Any beer without Brettanomyces in there is going to get very oxidized, probably within 5 years. Definitely 10 years. Usually a lot less. Um, this does not have any wild bugs or anything in it. And I like how the phenols are definitely subdued a lot. Phenols are the spicy or clovey sort of notes you can get from Belgian yeast. And this one's mainly just got some of the dark fruit esters. Some of that stuff also mellows out over time. So the barrel aging and then being in the bottle for a year and a half can definitely reduce esters and phenols. So this is just kind of like, I would say it's more of a hybrid American barrel-aged barley wine and a quadruple. Because it's big and sweet and caramely and barrely. And those Belgian yeast characteristics are not super strong. They're kind of battling it out. Yeah, this is damn good. This is actually better than I thought it would be. I'm glad I opened it now, though. Well, there's no way to get another one. I guess there are probably thousands of these bottles hanging out in people's cellars. And they made a non-barrel aged version. I think they do that one every year. I don't know if they've done this one every year. Because I bought it before the holidays last year. So I bought this like November, December 2022. And it kind of like, it has a good carb. But I kind of like that it's not as big as a lot of Belgian beers. That would make it a different kind of experience. But this will be a fun one to sort of slowly sip on. I poured maybe half the bottle, not even half the bottle in there, and I've only had a few sips. Now I'm getting more spice, more fruitcake, fig Newton, but it's not like too strong of a clove thing. It's just kind of like the other subtle sweet spices you get in a fruitcake or something like that. Holiday stuff. It smells almost a little bit apple cinnamony, but not in a bad way. A lot of times when I say apple cinnamon for a beer, I mean a bad thing, like an oxidized IPA. It all works here. It's complex. I'm drinking it in the wrong time of year, though. Right when spring is springing, this makes me think a lot more of like Thanksgiving, but that's great. For like Untapped it's like a 4.39, and I think it probably deserves that. Bye.